Hello, everyone. Welcome to chapter 221 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. It is the weekly edition, and yes, I'm going to be sharpening again today. So, if you want to see what I'm sharpening today, all you need to do is stay tuned. Yes, we're going to be sharpening a little bit again today, but not my typical bowl gouge sharpening video. We're going to sharpen something else today. And what we're going to sharpen today are a couple of scrapers. Now, I am not a scraper turner. This is because in my formative years of learning how to turn, just find a place to set these down here. When I was learning to turn and learning how to sharpen, I realized that I didn't have much money. And I figured out, or I was taught, that I could turn a bowl, which I really like to turn. I like turning bowls with just a bowl gouge. So that meant that I only needed to buy one high quality piece of steel to turn bowls and to do everything that I wanted to do. So for the vast majority of my turning career, if I'd call it a career, I've turned bowls with just a bowl gouge. When I set up the tools for the school shop, we got rid of all our scrapers. We never used that. Well, we didn't have any decent ones. And when I put new tools in the shop, eventually I've saved enough money to do that. I didn't buy one scraper. We had no scrapers. In fact, my tools for my students here have no scrapers. So at a Hub City turning class that I was hosting in fall, all of a sudden instructor Trent there decides that we're going to do some scraper turning. And I think the reason it was is because sometimes at those classes that we host, we'll have some older turners that are just getting started and have a little difficulty with the bowl gouge. So rather than have them just struggle through the whole class, Trent will show them how to use the scrapers. So that's what happened. And so I was kind of in shock when he reached for my scrapers. I've got two scrapers that I like. Well, okay, I don't like scrapers, but these I tolerate. I have another scraper here that I used for the introduction here that I bought this years ago just to think because I needed one and this was fairly cheap. It's a good quality tool, but it's the problem with this one is it's thin and relatively narrow. So just going to set that aside, and I'm just going to take the one that I use the most, which is, I'm not sure if this is the left or the right hand, whatever it is, but these are hurricane tools, both of them. They come as a set, and I think I bought this probably when I was sick. Uh, I spent half of 2019 recovering from a fairly serious condition, but not as serious as what they told me it was to begin with. But we'll talk more about that another day. But anyway, I bought these two hurricane turning tools out of boredom, and I thought, okay, I'm going to learn to use them because my mentor's toolkit, when I blatantly copied his stuff, he had two scrapers like this. They weren't handled or anything; it was just the steel. But what attracted me to those things is what I noticed about them is, first of all, they were thick. Like this is 3/8 of an inch thick, which I think is what you want in a good scraper. Plus, it's an inch and a half wide, and it's a good, heavy, robust piece of steel, which I think is really, really important. The other thing is it's about 6¼ inches long from the tip of my thumb to my inside of my finger. And it's got a really nice long handle on it. Not quite as long as the ones that I turn for myself, but for a for a stock tool, I like this handle. It's, you can tuck it in and you can get a good steady you can get good steady control of your cutting edge, which is what I like. So I realized that one thing I hadn't shown any of you yet is how to sharpen one of these things. So I thought that's what I'd do in today's video. Um, but yeah, actually, you know what? Before we go to sharpening, I'm going to show you how I would use this tool and why having it really, really sharp and using it correctly, or at least correctly the way I was showing how to use it. And I got good results this way. And okay, I have you zoomed in nice and close. You'll notice the tear out, and I tried to be quite aggressive with my bowl gouge so that I could hopefully show you this, but this is rough. Now, I could get this pretty, pretty doggone close with my bowl gouge, but I'm just going to show you what this scraper can do. So when I use a scraper, and thanks to tips from instructor Trent there, the back edges need to be radius just a little bit so that it slides nicely along your tool rest, because I'm not going to be holding the scraper flat. I think that was the problem that I had with it when I was trying to use this thing and I was sick. I was holding it like this. Now, there is such a thing as a negative rake scraper, that the top, see if I can show you this, the top is ground away like that. And it kind of mimics what I'm going to do by holding it at a bit of an angle. So, boy, I hope you can see this. Let's see what happens when so kind of remember what that looks like. Let's see if I can make this smoother. Again, stance is really important, and I'm going to present the tool at about that angle. And I'm just going to lightly touch. Look at those nice little wisps of shaving that are coming off. Okay, let's see how one pass does. Oh, it's considerably better already. Often what happens is there's this tear out. This is really extreme here. This tear out on the end grain. Let's go 180 degrees. Yeah, same thing there. This is cleaning up really nice. So let's try 2 or 3 more passes here. Let's get this cleaner. See those nice shavings there? Hopefully, see that? That's what I think you would want. You want those nice, fine shavings coming off. Again, it can be done with a bowl gouge, but this works good as well. I'm going to make one little change here. I'm going to move the tool rest back just a wee bit. Okay, let's go again. I want to get a little further down on the arch here. There we go. And let's check again. Yeah, it's coming nicely. This just takes off a wee little bit, and that's exactly what you want when you're cleaning up. There we go. Now, this is sharpened at a fairly low angle. I'm not even sure what degree that is. I should maybe have checked that before I started turning. But the key to having this cut is the burr on the top edge. That's the key. And this is coming nicely. A little bit more on the end. Let's make 2 more passes and let's see what it does. Let's try another one. Okay, well, that might be all for the demo anyway. You can kind of see, yeah, I've got a little bit more here. I'd say another pass or two. And see, this side, the end grain is just pretty good already. So that's what I would use this thing for. Now, the other place you can use it is inside the bowl. If I would take this around, put this on the chuck, and then hollow the inside when I'm making finishing cuts on the inside, I could also use this tool. So, and the other one, the opposite radius, I wouldn't use this tool as much. Now, if I were when I turn a bowl, I'll finish the outside before I'll chuck it and turn the inside. But if I were going to finish the outside with the bowl in the chuck held by the foot, then I could use this one and go along as well. So I don't think I'll use this one as much, but this one, I think I'll maybe start to use a little bit. But now that you know what I would use this for, let's get over to the sharpening grinder and let's put a fresh edge on it. Okay, I'm going to sharpen this one. That's the one I was using on the outside there, and it still has a little bit of burr on it, but chances are for that finishing cut, what I should have done is resharpened it. So I'm going to show you what I do to resharpen this. First of all, remember it's the burr on top that's important. And when you sharpen any tool, whether it's a scraper or anything that has a burr on it, first thing you do when you're sharpening it is knock that off. You want to flip that down again. Okay, now the angle that I showed you before, I wasn't sure of the angle, so I went and got my angle finder here, and let's see if we can get this right. It looks like it's about 10 degrees. Yeah, it's about 10 degrees. See if I can show that to you. So it's at the 80, which should start at 90, so 10 degrees. I don't know if there's a hard and fast rule for that, but that's what this one is. Now, if you're sharpening something and you need to find the angle, I always have a marker on my grinder. In fact, I've got a little rare earth magnet on there embedded in heat shrink that I can just go and I'm going to mark. Show you that. See? I mark the whole edge. That way I can tell when I start grinding this if it's grinding the bottom, then I have to tip the rest up a little bit. If it's grinding the top just, then I have to tip it down a bit. So this is a really good way to find out where you're at. Now, I'm using my 180 grit wheel. This is my oldest wheel. This 180, or pardon me, this 80 grit is relatively new. And it sure, I mean, yeah, it's an 80 grit, but it sure feels a lot coarser. Like it, this one I think was coarser when I got it, and now it's not as coarse. So maybe it's time for me to clean it again. I haven't cleaned it probably since the video that I showed you where I did that. Okay, so let's turn the grinder on. I'm going to be, well, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit for making this a little faster. I like the variable speed, but we're going to let it come to speed, and then we're going to check how my tool rest is set. Okay, here we go. It's flat on the rest, and we're just going to touch it. Okay, I like that. Okay, can you see that there? It's touching the whole surface. Okay, I have to admit, I did a little bit of work off camera and I cheated a little bit so the video didn't take forever. But yeah, that's what you're looking for. You see how it cut the whole edge in one, all the same as it was. So that's what you're looking for. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the grinder on and I'm going to grind this whole edge. So let's do that. Okay, and be gentle. Okay, I can feel a burr starting to form. Okay, I think that's good. Take a look at that. I think that looks nice. So now that we've got the grind on it again, I almost tempted to put my elbow on there, but that might make a safety video then instead of a sharpening video. What I need to do is put the burr back on. Now, I'm going to show you what I use because the way I do it uses a tool, and I don't know if Lee Valley still sells it, but I'll move the camera and I'll show it to you. But just a normal burnishing rod would work just fine. But you need to flip that burr up again and reinforce it. So that's what we're going to do. There's a little bit there, but we'll make it better. So I'm going to take you over to my little General International lathe because I have the right tool mounted on that lathe. So we'll be with you in a bit. Okay, this is a Veritas turning burnisher for turning scrapers. And it's got these little pins that mount in a hole here, just like that. And then all you do is you take your scraper and you come in here. And I like to use this pivot here. This comes out as well, but I like to use that one as a pivot. I'll try to keep my hand out of the way. And then you just push it into, and I'm using this one here. And you just put some pressure into it and slide it along. Don't want to hit the tripod. Oh, I'm hitting the tripod there. So, okay, well, we'll do that again. There, we'll try that again. Okay, so we're going to push it in and we're going to go all the way around. It's quite important to keep it flat on this part here. Oh yeah, that is much better. I can feel that really nicely. I think this will turn beautifully. I wonder if you can see it. Can you see that? Yeah, that's good. So yeah, that's what this is like. This is now sharpened and ready to scrape. Well, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's take a look at this. There's still a little bit of tear out there. I didn't make this rough again. It's a little rough on the long grain there, which is surprising. Okay, let's see what we can do. Shaft is spinning at about 1,000 RPM. Okay, so I'm going to get in at my angle and just nice and gentle. It's bouncing a little bit, so I'm going to push it into the tool rest. Look at those curls coming off of there. That's beautiful. Yeah, this is getting close. The sides are, I think, are gone now. Yeah, the sides are good. Okay, let's try one more cut. Let's see what that does. But you notice this is the type of shaving I'm getting off, and it flies off really nicely. I guess the thing I should mention is all your standard basic turning rules come into play here. Like I noticed when I started, it wanted to bounce just a little bit, so I really kind of pushed the tool into the rest and made sure everything was steady. Um, Unfortunately, to get the bowl so you can see it, I can't show you the way I'm standing. But because I need to get my feet around the base of the lathe, I'm standing with my feet more than shoulder length apart. I don't want to have to move my feet as when I make that cut. I want to be able to make the whole thing without repositioning. So let's give that another try. Nice and gentle. It's almost like it's almost like there's notches in my tool rest, but they're not. And this I have radius, so that should be okay. Because my motion wasn't as fluid as it should have been. But look at that. This is end grain here, and that's beautiful. Little bit there yet, but that was pretty deep. Let's give it a couple more cuts. So one more here. Okay, let's give that a try. See what we got here. That's nice. The end grain seems to be very good. This could be lightly sanded now, and this would be finished. Okay, and that's the advantage to that scraper. Like I said, I would come very close to be able to do this with my bowl gouge, but this is just another tool in the tool chest that you can use to get the inside and outside of your bowls nice and smooth. So whether you use the bowl gouge or you use this, it doesn't really matter. In the end, all that matters is that you're happy and you're having fun. So anyway, I think that's all I can show you. So let's close this video off. So is one better than the other? Is there a difference? You know what? That's up to you. If you're getting good results with your bowl gouge and you're really happy and you don't want the extra expense of buying a high quality scraper, then turn with your gouge. If you're happy with it, great. Um, does it mean that you have higher skills if you can do it all with a bowl gouge? Uh, or do you have to scrape the last little bit? I really don't think it matters. Like, do what you do what you need to do to get a good quality finish that you're happy with. That's the key here. If you can walk away from the lathe at the end of an afternoon and you've got a big ear to ear Kool-Aid smile on your face and you're happy with what you turned, that's what turning is all about. Um, if you're a pro, and I would really be flattered that you would watch this, but you know, chances are 99.9% of us are doing this for fun. And if it isn't fun, then you need to make it so it is. So if you have to turn your whole bowl with a scraper, go ahead. Just keep turning. It's a great way to occupy your time when you're in your golden years. Let's put it that way. Now, taking classes is another thing that's really, really good, and I would encourage you to do that. Instructor Trent here has taught that in that beginner class in my shop a number of times, and I pick up something every time. Maybe the instruction isn't exactly the same all the time, and a student brings up a concern which leads us down a different pathway. It's wonderful. So I get to learn and just help out a little bit, which is great. Another thing that I should mention, and I don't think this is stressed enough. I don't think you can overstress this. How you need to be rigidly triangulated when you turn, especially when you're removing larger amounts of stock from bigger projects. Now, once you get down to the small stuff, and hang on, I'm just going to grab a smaller gouge here. Okay, once you're down to a little detail or spindle gouge and you've got to get in, and then yeah, you can relax. You're probably not going to put the tool in your hip because you can't move then, or under your arm. Those smaller delicate cuts, then you can maybe move the tool away from your body. But when you're roughing out or you're hollowing, having that tool tucked in and your feet nicely spread apart so that you're nice and stable really, really helps. And one last point I'm going to make before I quit talking today is I can't stress this enough, and I always stress this with my younger students. You want to be in control all the time. So you want to be smooth and slow at first. Once you get into it, you can go faster. Smooth should never end. You have to be smooth. You have to let the edge or the wood come to the edge and cut. And once you can do that, I've had some young students that have amazing skill, in my opinion, in that area. Makes me wish I could have started turning seriously when I was 12 or 13. But anyway, that's all I've got to show you today. Hopefully you learned something and enjoyed this. And if you didn't, well, thanks for watching anyway. So with that in mind, I'm not sure what the weekend edition will be yet. I have a class. My first class of the new semester is on Wednesday afternoon. And I only have one group of 4 or 5. I'm not sure what it'll be yet. Normally I would do a Tuesday and Wednesday groups, but I only have enough for one. For a Wednesday group, we're going to do it on Wednesday. This time, and that I'm not surprised about, because my students who are coming here that are homeschooled, usually once they get to grade 10, they end up in the regular system somewhere. So, and I expect that. So basically I do more work with the grade 6s, 7s, and 8s, and a little less with the 9s and 10s, and 11s and 12s, of course. So on that note, we'll start that Wednesday. Weekend edition, not sure yet. Actually, I think I know where it's going to go, but I'm going to save that for a surprise. And you know what? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next video.